Hey, TC families, happy March. Welcome back to our podcast. We're so happy to have you join us today. My name is Jasmine Moore. I'm the school counselor at Morningside.
My name's
Hi,
Caroline Hinton. I'm the school counselor at Etheridge Elementary.
hi everyone. I'm Anna Amaya, one of the counselors at Peters Colony Elementary, and the other counselor is Allison Bostick.
I'm Sarah Metcalf. I am the counselor of
I'm Beth McWilliams. I'm the counselor at Kamey.
And I'm Laura Norton, the counselor at Memorial.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Excuse our laughter. We're trying to make it probably perfect for you, but it is Friday when we're recording this, and so we're trying to get our lives together. I'll just be honest about that. But we're so glad that you joined us for our guidance spotlight for today or this month. We want to reiterate a little bit about the Child Protection Unit. So TEA requires all students get anti-victimization lessons in public schools. And these lessons are something that are very important to our students. They teach them about safety. You guys had the option to opt in or opt out of the lessons in the Skyward Back to School forms. So depending on where your student school counselor is, just in their programming, you may have already heard this little blurb. You might be getting ready to hear it. It just really depends. But we want to just run you through some of the things that we cover during these lessons. I will say that if you have chosen to opt out of the lessons for your student, that's totally fine, and we respect that. They will not be included in the lesson for this section of our programming. So if your child comes home and said, I didn't get to meet with my counselor today, my whole class went, that's why. It's just because we're covering CPU and we're respecting your wishes. And so your student just may be sitting with another class or depending on what your campus does. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we cover. Anybody want to help me out with that?
I can. So we first cover our personal safety rules. The curriculum that we use has a fun song that will get stuck in your head so fast called the 8 Never Nevers, and the kids love it. But we go through those personal safety things, such as we don't want to play with guns, we don't want to use sharp objects, we want to make sure we're wearing our helmets when we're on our wheels, just those like basic safety ones. I always tell the kids too, like there are plenty of safety rules that we follow throughout the day, but these were the ones that we're going to focus on for this lesson and these couple of lessons. I think we all kind of do it a little bit differently on our campus. I break up the lessons into a 2-part lesson. And so we do one half and then in the other half. And so the first like lesson that I do is focused on that personal safety and making sure that we're just keeping our kiddos safe.
And as the kids get older, so the one thing that I really love about CPU, we use Second Step for the protection unit. One of the things that I really like is scaffolds the information. So with the little kids, they're learning their 8 never nevers with the different safety rules. But as they get older, when we talk about safety, we're using the like ways to stay safe in regards to, hey, if you're at the park by yourself, or if you're at home by yourself, or you're taking care of little brother and sister, how can you use the ways to stay safe? So every year they get older, we have the same lessons, but they go a little deeper in what does it look like to keep yourself safe. So the ways to stay safe, the 3 big R's they've learned also in our bullying lessons are to recognize, report, and refuse. And so we want our kids to like know what is the issue? Like where's the safety matter? How can you keep yourself safe? And one thing I always tell my kids, if something unsafe is happening, do you have to do it? Like, do you have to participate in it? No, you don't. So you can refuse that. And then also always report to a grown up as well.
And it's funny you say that, Jasmine, and Caroline had mentioned the catchy songs. They actually are on YouTube. You just Google 8 Never Nevers and the 3 big R's, ways to stay safe. But I always joke during the song because when it's sung, it says, if it's wrong, then just say no. And I always tell the kids, this is my favorite part. Everybody listen, just say no, because they are catchy. But it's a great point for when they do the old, oh, I did it because someone else did it. If it's wrong, then just say no. So that goes hand in hand with what Jasmine was saying.
Yeah, the kids get so excited about the 8 Never Nevers and the 3 big R's that whenever they've had it the previous year and we do the bullying prevention unit in the fall, they ask for those songs again because we talk about the
They
3
do.
R's again, but it's not a part of that.
You know, one of the bigger takeaways for me as a parent and slash counselor is the assertiveness piece, right? When they teach them to be assertive, we don't always have to go along with something just because our friends are asking us to. We have to kind of think outside the box and say, hey, is it safe or unsafe? And if it's an unsafe situation, that's when we say, use that strong voice and you tell that person, no, I don't want to do this. And we're doing it in a respectful manner. Sometimes students are afraid to say no because they're afraid of either the backlash from their peers. What if they get mad? What if they don't want to talk to me anymore? Or what if my teacher or my parent get upset? But we tell them, you know, you have the right to refuse, a situation or refuse to hang out with someone, especially if they're making you feel uncomfortable. I love that piece, teaching them to be assertive. And so it's funny because the littles will say, oh, I told my friend, stop. I did not like that. And they look the part. I mean, they're standing up straight and they make eye contact. And so there's a lot more that goes behind it with not just the voice, but just the way you present yourself says a lot as well, your body language.
I like the piece about always asking the grown up that you live with first for any of these things, any of the safety lessons, getting in someone's car that you actually know you're going with a friend, but you just never know what's going to happen outside of that. And so I give them the example of your mom could have to go pick up your little brother somewhere else and she doesn't know where you are because you got in your friend's car to go home instead of the bus. And so always asking your parent first before you do anything really hits home for me as a parent, knowing that my kids will come to me first before they do any of the things like just going with a friend after school.
And our child protection unit also covers touching safety. And I will say, especially with our older kids, they get a little giggly and wiggly when we bring this up, but it's so very important. The whole unit is just making sure our kids know how to keep themselves safe. As for the safety rules, we teach them about safe touches, which are like hugs and high fives, unsafe touches, kicks, hits, punches. We always tell them that's not allowed at our school. Report it to a grown up. Unwanted touches is something I really try to make sure our kids understand that they get to decide who touches them. So I always use myself as an example. I don't like to be tickled, like, period. It drives me insane. But, that's a safe touch. It's not a bad touch, but it's an unwanted touch. So we really go deep into, even at 5 years old, even at 10 years old, if someone is coming in for a touch that's not safe, you just don't want it, it's okay if you say no to that. Like that's okay. You can use your voice. You can give that person an alternative. Hey, Grandpa, I don't want a big slappy kiss, but I'll give you a high five instead. So we're teaching our students to use their voice and make boundaries when necessary. And then also making sure they know how to identify possible sexual abuse. So when we talk about touching safety, we also include the private body parts rule. And so the main meat of the rule is no one should ask to see your private body parts or touch your private body parts unless they're keeping you healthy. And so we have them identify a doctor, a well visit, a nurse. That's different. But if they're not keeping you healthy, they shouldn't ask to see your private body parts or touch your private body parts. And we teach them what to do if someone breaks that touching rule. So we're all kind of in the midst of um, starting those lessons, in the middle of finishing those lessons. So you'll hear your student come home telling you about what they learned. We're going to turn a little bit toward our student wellness spotlight. So as we're in March, the kids are really getting their lives together and gearing up to take the STAAR test in April. Um, Sometimes the test can be really stressful for our students. As school counselors, we're really trying to make it so it's just a thing that they have to do, so we don't want to put too much emphasis on it like it's, life or death, but it is something that is required of our students. So we want to make sure that we give them the right tools to manage any stress or anxiety that they have leading up to it.
This is one of my favorite things that I do during the year. I always do a test anxiety lesson with our third, fourth, and fifth graders during my guidance time. And I kind of encourage that piece, like you said, Jasmine, of, yes, it's important, but it's just a test, and you are so much more than just this test. So, yes, do your best, but we are not going to revolve our lives around it. We're not going to stress out about it. We're just going to do our best. And so I always try and give them some tools to help them out. And we kind of identify what test anxiety is, what that means. And then I work on giving them some tools to help them manage that test anxiety. And I tell them, having a little bit of nervousness about a test is totally normal. But it's whenever that anxiety and that worry starts to overwhelm you, we've got to have some tools in our tool belt to help us out. And so I kind of walk my kids through, first try taking some deep breaths, and we practice that together. And then we talk about, get a drink. If you need to take a break, how and when that's appropriate, what to do there. And then we always talk about doing some stretching. We talk about stretches that they can do at their desk that won't bother anybody else. They can kind of stretch their legs out in front of them. We talk about crossing their arms over each other and stretching, because whenever we cross the midline, that helps to kind of reconnect all those synapses in our brain, get them thinking a little bit more clearly. And then another thing that I do with my kids is I have them find their happy place. And a lot of them, before I get the chance to explain it, are like, what does that mean? Or what if I don't have one? And so something that I do with my kiddos is we do a little meditation together where I walk them through this relaxation script where they kind of create their own tree house in their mind. And whenever it ends, we're always very like calm and peaceful. And everybody's like, oh, I could take a nap now. And I'm like, that's the feeling I'm talking about when I say find your happy place. Find this calm, relaxed, peaceful feeling. That's what you're looking for. And then once you've gotten to that point, then you're going to be ready to get back to work. And then we kind of talk through just their general test taking strategies that their teachers have already shared with them.
I think those are some really great ideas. I know for our students, I kind of let them know. I take a how high does an airplane get in the air? 13,000 feet. Like I take a 13,000 feet approach to it, where I'm letting them know that testing is a part of life, like just in general. So if they make a kind of script of how they want to handle it now, it's only going to benefit them as they get older. I reiterate to them, like, even to become a teacher and a school counselor, I had to take a major test to do those things. So this is not anything that we're going to get away from. This is just how we go through life. And so let's start now of getting those strategies and skills, because we just want you to be prepared for later. And so at some point, I think in my career, I was pulling specific kids to like a group to work on strategies, but I noticed that everybody can generally benefit. So like Sarah was saying, I make sure with our third, fourth, and fifth graders, address it in one of our classroom counseling lessons. I try to make it fun. Last year we did an escape room, which the kids loved, and it was fun for me. So just reiterating that what the teachers have already told them. The teachers are doing a great job encouraging them and teaching them their strategies. And so as school counselors, we're really just here to reaffirm that and to make sure they have strategies or things to lean on.
Yeah. One thing that I try to like encourage our kids to do too is like that they find a coping strategy in general to help with stress management on a regular basis. That if they do something a part of their routine, a part of their like weekly things, that then overall it will help them trying to be a little bit more proactive rather than reactive. Like, teaching them that like they can journal a couple times a week before bed. Or I always give like my example is my coping skill is running. And so I try to run, however many times a week. And I notice that the weeks I don't get to do that, I feel differently. And so trying to encourage them to find something that they can do routinely and regularly to help them not only for STAAR testing and big tests like this, but just in general with stress management, anxiety throughout life, kind of finding their thing that helps kind of release that for them.
I kind of go along with the same lines as Caroline with the positive affirmations. We start those at the beginning of the year. and we go over positive affirmations of ourselves, and just so that they can be in that routine already. But we also do cards for each of the kids from teachers and from myself that we give them on the day of the STAAR test, that helps them kind of have that affirmation on their desk of that they are worth it and they are important to other people as well, and that this test is really just there to help us know how to help them later.
And we also think about how we approach the test. So at home, the conversations can look more like, all they want to know is, what do you know? Show them what you know. That's it. I had to change and remove that negative connotation at home with my oldest son because he would immediately show anxiety. Like, what if I don't pass? What if it's too hard? What do I do? And so alleviating some of that with the positive affirmations, with, a good night's sleep, with the help of your teachers and applying your strategies. But what I think works often is if we say, hey, I want you to know that this isn't a grade. This is not going on your report card. This test does not, again, like Sarah said, doesn't identify who you are as a person. And most importantly, they worry about, am I going to fail or repeat the grade? You are not going to fail or repeat the grade. So if we approach it that way and just say, again, it's just like a practice test, right? Show them what you know. That's all you can do. Try your best.
So we're all here to support your students. Whether the test is no big deal, we'll still encourage them to just try their best. If they're really struggling with an outcome or being a perfectionist, we'll make sure that each one of your students gets the support they need. As we wrap up, Miss Amaya is going to talk a little bit about resources that are available to you guys coming up soon.
We have Medication Disposal Day coming up, and that is held here in the Colony High School, or at the Colony High School, on Saturday, April 26th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. right in front of the school. Usually we'll have Officer De La Cruz from the Colony Police Department. He'll have his vehicle at the front. They'll have a big tent, and we'll have a couple of boxes lined up. You don't even have to get out of your car. You literally drive up in your car. We will come to you. We will accept expired or unused prescription or over-the-counter medications, including sharps. So they have such a great system in place where you can dispose of them properly and safely. And that's all you have to do, really. Just bring your, again, expired or unused prescriptions or over-the-counter medications and sharps and drop them off. And that, again, is Saturday, April 26th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The other resource we have coming up is Whole Child Series. The topic will be on restorative practices, families as partners. That will be Tuesday, March the 4th from 6 to 8 p.m. on WebEx. You will see the flyer either through our some form of social platform, through our communication like our s'mores or the principal s'more, but you will be able to see that flyer and scan if you need more information.
Thank you guys for joining us. I hope you have a warm and restful spring break, and we'll be back to you all in April. Have a great day.